Okay. Well, welcome to you all. Thanks for coming this morning. The Chamber is really pleased. We're developing a nice list of workshops and seminars, webinars for people of interest to your business or to your personal life. And we are very pleased this morning to have Chris Stoner, who's on the board of directors of the Brattleboro Area Chamber. He's our treasurer. And Dave Twombly, both from Twombly Wealth Management, here this morning to talk about Social Security and retirement. So without further ado, take it away.
Okay, Greg, at the very end, I could not hear you, but I think it's our cue to start.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I would like to introduce us. Chris and I are partners at Twombly Wealth Management, and we have been we're both financial advisors and planners, and we've been doing a number of these webinars and seminars really since the 90s. It's been a long time, and what we find is that we find a lot of people are looking to be educated, and Social Security for baby boomers is one of our most popular webinars. Anyway, before we get going on the slides here, I just want to give you all a little bit of a history perspective. I'm a big history major in college, so I always like to put things in context. Social Security came about due to the fact that the US went through the Great Depression in 1933. When FDR was in office, he wanted to create Chris, we'll stop right there. He wanted to create a program that would be more like a Social Security net for people to really keep them out of poverty. And basically it was started, and when it was started, it was a pay-as-you-go system. It was supposed to be totally funded, and the projections were by 1980, there would be a $47 billion surplus. August 14th, 1933, FDR signed it into law. And the purpose was really to help people to provide another source of retirement income. And at that point, the projection was it would be like 26% of a person's income would come from Social Security. Fast forward to today, it really provides 63% for people as a major source of their income. Interestingly enough, the first recipient of Social Security was a lady by the name of Ida Mae Fuller, who was from Ludlow, Vermont. She was a legal secretary, and she actually had worked in Brattleboro throughout her career. So her first check that she received when she applied for it was for $22.54. And she lived until age 100, and over the course of her life, she received over $22,000. At the time, the way the system was set up, 42 workers was supporting every one retiree. Well, right now, it's gotten to the point where 2 workers are supporting every one retiree as well. So there's been a big concern as, will Social Security be there for future generations and other people as well? And, they have the ability to make some modifications, which they've done all along by raising the taxable amount that you can earn and you have to contribute to. They've increased the retirement age as well. So that's one of the things where a while ago, other tidbits were Social Security was amended in 1956 so that women could apply early at age 62. And in 1963, the same change was made so that men could apply at age 62. In 1983, the full retirement age was changed from age 65 to 67. And that's where we are right now. Then basically in June 26, 2015, same-sex couples were extended the same benefits for spousal and survivor benefits as well. So with that said, let's go into the program. So anyway, what happens is when you retire, there are a lot of decisions that you're faced with. One of the major ones, and could be a very stressful one, is Social Security. And basically you want to make sure that you make the right decision so that you don't regret it later on. Anyway, one of the things that you have are when to claim. When is the best time that you can claim? And and also the decisions and have far-reaching consequences. And what happens is it's very important that you understand your situation, because the answer to a lot of these questions are, it depends. It depends on your own financial situation, your resources, if you're married, if you're not, if you're a widow or widower. You want to be able to find out what's the best way that you can maximize your benefit for either yourself or your family members as well. One of the things that we find is sometimes, people have been very concerned that, oh my gosh, Social Security is not going to be there. So basically I should file as soon as possible, because that way I want to make sure I get my benefits. Well, don't approach it in that manner, because if you file early, as Chris will explain later on, it'll be a significant impact on your income. So I'll get into that later. So again, sometimes it's best to reach out to someone who knows Social Security, knows how it works, also understands Medicare, because the two are intertwined as well. Okay, the next slide we will have is, okay, so the questions that most people have are, will Social Security be there for me? The Congress and Senate have been kicking this can down the road for many years, and that is they've been not really addressing the financing of Social Security, but you're going to see that they will be forced to later on, because if they don't, I think in 2036, there will be only enough money to fund 75% of the benefit. What can they do? They can reduce the COLA that they allow for the inflation increases on Social Security. They can have people pay more into that. Social Security, when it was first enacted, was to be a tax-free income for people who received it. And what happened is they made changes along the way on that too, which you'll see later on. Biggest question for people is, when should I apply? And what happens is there are a lot of financial calculators. And in fact, sometimes I've had some clients who've gone to Social Security in Keene asking those same questions. And what happens is the Social Security office tends to say, at this given time, this is what your maximum benefit will be. So maybe it's good for you to do this. And what happens is we're finding out that they don't understand if you delay your benefit, how you can maximize not only your benefit, but a benefit for your spouse as well. So we'll get into that a little bit later on. The last question, will Social Security be enough to live on in retirement? Absolutely not. It will help you in retirement, but it will not be a sole source of your income. But for many people, that could be a significant part. So basically,
thanks, Dave.
At this point, I'm going to hand that over to Chris.
I'm going to go over some of the nuances of Social Security and claiming. As Dave mentioned, Social Security is one of those few sources of income you can't outlive, right? You can spend down your IRA, you can spend down your 401k, your bank accounts. You shouldn't worry about Social Security, because it will continue until you die. And of course, the longer you live, the more you can, the more you'll extract from the system. And this slide just illustrates that, right? So in this slide, we're using a $2,000 benefit today in today's dollars. And you can see the various time frames, 10 years, 20 years, and 30 years. So essentially, if you turn your benefit on today and you live 10 years, you're going to extract $276,000 in lifetime benefits out of the system. Kick the can down the road 20 more years, that's $602,000 in lifetime benefits. 30 years, again, given that $2,000 benefit today, over $1 million in lifetime benefits. So Social Security, provides a modicum of longevity protection that you really can't find in other areas of the private sector. It's a very, very strong benefit. Social Security also offers inflation protection that you can't find. Again, you're not going to really find anywhere else in the private sector. So again, we'll use that $2,000 benefit today. In 10 years, given a 2% cost of living adjustment. And let me back up a little bit. So COLA, or a cost of living adjustment, is applied to Social Security benefits. It's not uniform, however. Just for instance, last year, the COLA adjustment for the benefit was almost 6%. If we back up 2 years, it was 0, right? So for financial planning purposes, a 2% COLA, or cost of living adjustment, is a pretty safe bet. So we're going to use a 2% COLA. And again, that $2,000 benefit today in 10 years would be $2,438. In 20 years, that benefit's going to increase to $2,972. And in 30 years, you'd have $3,623. So again, you go to any sort of, you go into the private sector, other securities and products out there, you're not going to find this level of inflation protection. So let's talk about two things. Your benefit's going to depend on, number one, the biggest factor is how much you've earned over your career, which we'll go over in a second. And then number two, obviously the age at which you apply for benefits, which we'll also touch on. So first of all, how are benefits calculated? I'm not going to go too far down a rabbit hole here, but what you want to remember is the highest 35 years of your earnings, which is also called the average index monthly earnings, is how your benefit is calculated. You do not need to remember that. It'll just confuse you in the end. What I do want you to take away from this is what's called PIA, or your primary insurance amount. And that's the amount that you'll receive at your full retirement age, okay? So PIA, full retirement age, that's the benefit that you'll receive. And so if you go on to, if you've ever seen your Social Security statement, that main number there is a PIA. That's the benefit that you'll receive at full retirement age. And obviously that benefit is going to be increased each year by the cost of living adjustment, which I just spoke to. So what is full retirement age? Full retirement age is obviously the benefit, when you will start receiving Social Security at an unreduced rate. And it's going to be different for everybody. You can see if you were born between 1943 and 1954, your full retirement age is going to be 66. If you were born after 1960, your full retirement age is going to be 67. And then between 1955 and 1959, it's going to be some combination thereof. You can see, just for an example, 1957, your full retirement age is going to be 66 and 6 months. So yes, they did increase that full retirement age from 66 to 67. People are living longer, people are working longer. And the system is currently underfunded. So they did increase that full retirement age by 1 year. Now, this begs the question, what if I apply for my benefits early? Well, the easy answer is you're going to receive a reduction in your benefit. So if your full retirement age is 66 and you apply at 62, which is the earliest you can apply. So the earliest you can apply for Social Security is 62. The latest you can claim is 70. If you apply at 62 and your full retirement age is 66, as you can see, you're going to see realize a 25% reduction in your benefit. If your full retirement age is 67 and you apply at 62, you're going to see a 30% reduction in your benefit. All right. So again, it's not a hard and fast rule that you need to wait until your full retirement age, but just realize that if you are claiming early for whatever reason, and there are valid reasons for claiming early, but if you are, claiming early, you are going to receive a reduction in your benefit. On the flip side, however, if you claim after full retirement age, you're actually going to get an increase in your benefit. So again, we'll use this example of full retirement age of 66. If let's say we kick the can down the road to age 70, which is the latest you can claim your Social Security benefit, you're going to realize a 32% increase in your benefit. If your full retirement age is 67, you're going to see and you claim it age 70, you're going to see a 24% increase in your Social Security benefit. So again, we're not saying you need to wait until age 70, but keep in mind that you do see that increase in your benefit, and it averages out to around 8% per year increase after full retirement age. So just real quick, I want to touch on, if you've never looked at your Social Security statement, definitely encourage you to go on, do so. SSA.gov, there's estimators on there, there's calculators. You can see your, quite frankly, there's more information than you need on there. Dave and I are more than happy to walk folks through, the various nuances of the website, but definitely encourage you to, if you haven't done so already, to go on and look at your statement and kind of play around with the various features on that website. So there are numerous factors to consider when deciding when to claim and when to apply. Obviously, health status is going to be a huge factor. If you've got health conditions or obviously something terminal, that could very well affect your claiming decision. Might want to claim early. On the flip side, life expectancy is a very important factor when deciding. If you don't have longevity in the family, that could obviously affect your decision. If you do have longevity in the family, again, that could maybe prompt you to delay your decision. Need for income, obviously, if you're a little bit underfunded in various retirement accounts, you might need to, it might prompt you to claim early. Or if you're overfunded for retirement, you might have more assets, so it gives you the ability to claim later. Whether or not you plan to work, we'll go over this in a second, but there is, if you're working and you claim your Social Security benefit before full retirement age, you will see your benefit withheld until you reach full retirement age, and I'll get into that in a second. And then survivor needs. Obviously, our spouses need to be taken into consideration when we're claiming, as our claiming decisions have direct, ramifications on our spouses. So when, this is the main question: when do I apply for Social Security? And as Dave said, it all depends. If you apply early, your benefits start lower, and they're going to be locked in lower for life, right? Those COLAs, they're going to magnify, the impact of your delayed claiming. The longer you live, the more beneficial it is to delay those benefits. We also need to take into consideration Medicare premiums, in particular the Part B premium, which obviously we know, we pay. Part A, I'm not going to go. Medicare is a different presentation altogether, but your Part B premium, if you claim early, that Part B premium will be taking up a larger portion of your benefit because you're going to have a reduced benefit. I'll go into this in a second, but don't let the earnings test discourage you from working. And then delaying benefits can give your surviving spouse more income, especially if your surviving spouse has a lower benefit. So just let's go over a couple strategies for maximizing your benefits. Again, I encourage you to go on to socialsecurity.gov, look at your statement, verify whether that statement is accurate. Are there any missing years? As we said, those 35 years are used to, 35 years of highest earnings are used to calculate your Social Security benefit, your PIA, right? If you have some zeros in there, if you took some time off, stayed at home with the kids, maybe working a little bit longer, you can fill in some of those zeros, some of those gaps, right? So these are all strategies that we need to think about when, when we're deciding how and when to claim. Another strategy that we need to consider is your income needs, both now and in the future, right? We need to apply for Social Security at the right time. There's no hard and fast rule. These claiming decisions are highly personal. And they're very nuanced, right? So everyone's situation is different, and there's all of these factors need to be lined up correctly to guide you in your claiming decisions. I want to go into the earnings test really quickly before I turn it back over to Dave. This is what I mentioned before. If you are working or deriving any sort of active income before full retirement age, and you are claiming Social Security, you are going to get a reduced benefit until you reach full retirement age. And the way it works is this: It's $1 in benefit will be withheld for every $2 you earn over 19,560. So I'll repeat that. $1 in benefits will be withheld for every $2 you earn over 19,560. So just for an example, if your full retirement age is 67, you claim at 64, but you still have income, and that income is over that threshold, that 19,560, $1 in your benefit will be withheld for every $2 that you earn over that limit. The benefit will be adjusted back up at full retirement age. And actually you'll get a little bit of an increase based on the benefits that were withheld. But just keep in mind, if you're working before you reach full retirement age and you've claimed Social Security, you're going to get a reduction, a temporary reduction in your benefit. Your benefit will essentially be withheld. So don't let that discourage you from working. But keep in mind that the earnings test, it does exist, it's there, and you know it should be factored in when deciding when to claim. At that, I'll turn it back over to Dave to kind of close us out here.
Can you hear me now? At the end, can people hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Dave.
All right. What I want to do before I segue into the spousal benefits, one of the big questions that people have, like when they claim, is what is the break-even point? And it refers back to what Chris was talking about, if you're healthy and what your health situation is. So typically the break-even point is about 18 years. Like if you were at full retirement age at 66 or 67 or whatever, it really would almost take you to 85 before you would really benefit to claim later. So it really depends on your genes, if they have a longevity in your family or not. And as you said, it's a big part of it. Another benefit that Social Security has, which is a huge benefit, are spousal benefits. And what happens is, in order to claim a spousal benefit, you have to be married to your husband or your ex-spouse for at least 10 years. You're unmarried, and you both must be at least age 62. If you've been divorced for at least 2 years, then you're eligible. If it's less than that, you're not. And the other thing is the primary worker must have filed for benefits and to receive it, except if you're widowed. Divorced benefits work a little bit differently in that you do want to make sure that actually it does work very much the same, but you just want to make sure that you've been married for 10 years before you can claim. Two examples come to mind. I don't know if any of you remember Mickey Rooney, but he was married 8 times, and 7 of his marriages did not last more than 10 years, so there was no spousal benefit. On the other hand, do you remember Johnny Carson, way back when, The Tonight Show? Well, apparently he was married 4 times. 3 of his marriages lasted over 10 years, and 1 did not. So it doesn't matter how many spouses or ex-wives you have, every one of them can claim off of that benefit. So just realize that as well. The other important thing, Chris, I'm not sure if it's the next slide or not, but we'll take a peek. Yeah, okay, we'll stay right there, is the survivor benefits. And what happens is, this is where you have the ability to, let's say if you're married and you have a husband and wife, one receives a higher Social Security than the other. Realize that obviously you can both receive your benefit. And let's make an example. One is receiving $30,000 a year, one is receiving $10,000 a year. You will receive that combined benefit, but at the death of a spouse, then the surviving spouse will either retain the higher benefit, or if they have the lower benefit, that benefit will step up to the higher benefit. So just realize that's very important as well. And that's one of the reasons why you might want to consider delaying when to file. If you're both in good shape, you might have the spouse delaying until age 70 to build that benefit up by 32%. The other spouse can still file for their benefit. And let's say if their benefit is, I'm just going to $10,000, and let's say the husband's or the other spouse's higher earning spouse is $30,000. The spousal benefit is $15,000. It's 1/2 of the spouse when they turn at their full retirement age. You do not get an additional benefit more than that, but if the person delays until 70 and that person passes away, the surviving spouse will get the higher benefit of what they were receiving at age 70. At 70, it does not increase anymore. What happens is with survivor benefits, this is important to realize. I had this situation happen in our family. A long time ago, I remember working with my brother-in-law, and he wanted to file at age 62. And basically, he thought the system would not be there, and he just thought he'd rather get his benefit as soon as possible. Well, he was convinced to delay and wait till his full retirement age. And even he ended up had a shorter life expectancy. But the reason why he delayed was that when his wife turned her full retirement age, she was able to collect off of his full retirement benefit. And that's so important. So when it comes down to planning, realize that they're not only spousal benefits, but they're survivor benefits that many people aren't aware of. Now, if that his wife had claimed at age 62 when she could have, she would receive like 30% less in benefit. And she was able to delay. And that's why if you have the financial resources, then it makes sense to delay. If you don't, then you obviously want to file as soon as possible. The other thing that you want to do is to be aware of, again, when Social Security was first instituted, there was no tax at all on the benefit. Well, again, this is what Uncle Sam is doing to receive more income coming in so they can fully extend the benefit. And what they're doing is, and I'll just focus on the married filing jointly. What they do, they take what is called your provisional income, which is your AGI, stands for adjusted gross income, plus 1/2 of your Social Security benefit, plus any tax exempt income you may have from municipal bonds or what have you, makes up what's called the provisional income. If that income is under 32,000, there are no taxes. If your income is between 32 and 44,000, up to 50% of your benefit has to be claimed as ordinary income. And many people are in the next bracket where if your AGI or your provisional income is over 44,000, you have to claim 85 of your benefit as taxable income. So that's a big part of it. And that's why there's some planning you can do to minimize. You might be over that threshold of 85%. At some point, don't be surprised if this is changed in the future. I could. Okay.
I think we
Greg,
that could be our internet, Dave.
Okay. Well, anyway, what I will talk about is, a lot of people have the following questions. Again, you want to be able to, the other thing is you do want to, as I say, there are tools out there where you can figure out how can you get your maximum benefit. But the other part of the picture that you're not seeing is how does that coordinate with your overall retirement income plan? So if you understand what your assets are, this is where you want to make sure that you have other assets that you could draw from, like non-retirement assets, like a Roth or something like that, that could carry you over so you could delay filing for your Social Security benefit. When you do the numbers, it can be very, very impressive as to how big a benefit you can get. Some of the things that you consider when we talk about retirement planning, there's really what we call a three-legged stool. Pensions, if you receive pension income, and right now these are becoming the way of the dinosaur in that if you work at a large corporation or the government, do you really have a pension? Most have converted to 401ks. So when you retire, you have the ability to take any retirement plan, like a 401k, 403b, or what have you, and combine that or put that into an IRA. So that's where another source of income. With IRAs and any retirement plan, you are required to start taking out money at age 72. That was extended just recently in the last couple of years. If you don't, you'll receive a 50% penalty on what you don't take out. So the other area that you can then take, the other leg of the stool, is your investment portfolio. So if you have the ability to take money out of bank accounts, investment accounts, what have you, that will help your income, and many people will do that as well. And finally, some people continue to work, and that's another source of income as well. So the questions that typically people have is, when should I apply for Social Security? And as we said beforehand, it depends. What if I keep on working? And again, if you're working and you're working at full retirement age and longer, there is no reduction in your benefits. You have within either 6 months to a year to undo that. But besides that, it really is set in stone. You really can't do that. To full retirement age and age 70. What they do not tell you though, and they will not do, they cannot include their COLAs in there. So basically when you look at the benefit, and when you do retire, especially if it's 10, 15 years down the road, or even 5 years down the road, that benefit will be much higher than what you're looking at on that piece of paper. So again, what happens is it's important. Social Security stops sending out paper statements when people turn age before age 60. When you turn 60, they'll send you a statement, but you can go online, and their website is really interactive, very easy to use, and you can do some scenario planning there too. But just realize that you could, if you delay, you'll receive a much higher benefit, which will include the COLAs. Again, you want to know if you're married, you want to know how to coordinate your spousal benefits. And the other thing to do is, you want to incorporate Social Security in with the overall retirement plan, because there's ways that you can really, as I said, you can maximize the benefit. The other question I would say is, if you have questions, just reach out to a financial planner and your financial advisor and see if they can help show you how that would work in your overall financial plan. So basically with Social Security, do your research now so you understand what the planning is going to be, and that would have a big impact on your success in retirement. It would also give you peace of mind as well. So lastly, one of the things that Chris and I do, we have been doing during this pandemic environment, we've been conducting, we used to do seminars in person with our clients, but we opened it up to the public. And during this pandemic, we're doing a lot of other webinars. Some of the topics we do is Medicare. That's a big one too. We also do retirement income planning, market outlook, and a number of other ones that really, women and investing. And if you are interested and you want to be invited to our future webinars, feel free to send either Chris or myself an email. Chris, I'll turn it back.
So we're also offering, free Zoom consultations for anybody on this call who's interested. Social Security focused Zoom consultations. We've got, various resources that we can tap into to kind of help guide you through the claiming process and figure out what makes sense for, your personal claiming decisions.
Before we go, there's one other thing, because we have a Social Security fact sheet. And we covered a lot of information today, and sometimes it's like a sponge. You have all this information on top of you. You can only retain so much. If you would like to receive that fact sheet, it's like a 4-page sheet, which really goes into more detail of everything that we spoke about today. Again, reach out, send us an email, and we'll make sure you get that probably early next week.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. At that, I think we'll open it up to any questions that folks might have.
I have a couple questions. For folks who have received unemployment for any period of time, for instance, during the pandemic, how does the unemployment benefit affect your Social Security? Does it?
When you are working, you pay FICA taxes.
Right.
And what happens is that goes into your determining your PIA or your benefit for Social Security. With unemployment, I don't believe you have any FICA deducted for that. So I don't think it's going to affect the benefit. It's not.
Yeah, I don't, you're
it's-
not paying into the system.
not-
Well, you do have to pay taxes on it, or you can also have it taken out.
Taxes are different, Greg. Taxes,
Oh.
typically, the mechanics of Social Security, just so that you're all aware of this. You know, when you file for Social Security, you can indicate how much to have in federal taxes and state taxes. Some states are exempt from Social Security taxes, but income. But the other part of it too is if you are taking, when you apply for your benefit, let's say your full retirement age, the Part B premium from Medicare, which right now is $170 a month, is automatically deducted from your Social Security check, and no matter what age. And again, usually if you file early, you're 62, you really can't qualify for Medicare yet. But let's say if you're 65, you can apply for Medicare. You have a 1-year window where you're going to then have to pay yourself on a monthly basis the cost for the Medicare Part B. They will let you do it quarterly as well. But just realize that when you do get your benefit, there will be deductions. And you can just specify how much you want to have for federal, state taxes. The Medicare premium will be deducted as well. But again, it saves you from having to write a check for that as well.
Thank you. And the last question I have is, you mentioned that you need to be married for 10 years for the spouse to claim the benefit. What happens if the spouse dies? Does that
No effect.
Doesn't matter.
No effect. In fact, the spouse, the other thing that people should realize that, and especially this is more for someone who's widowed or a widower, the spouse will never know if you claim or not for your benefit. It's private information. So there's no ramifications or issues to really be concerned about. So, yeah.
So if you don't attain that 10-year level, can you still collect on?
You can only collect on your benefit, but not a spousal, not a survivor benefit.
Yeah, it could be 9 years and 11 months, and if you're a month shy, no dice.
Wow. Correct. Keep your spouse alive, right? Any other questions?
Or marry someone else and live another.
I have a
Any
question.
other questions? Yep.
Yeah, I have a question about how the benefits. One of the things I heard is that the benefit you receive is calculated based on your highest 35 years of earnings.
Yeah.
And my situation is that I have reached full retirement age. I have filed for the benefit and I'm receiving that, but I am still working. And the wage that I'm making now would contribute to those 35 years. Would that increase my benefit based on my subsequent years that I'm working?
Chris, you want to take this one?
It will not. I believe your benefit is locked in.
Yeah.
As of when you claim. If you were working and you hadn't claimed your benefit, but unfortunately you're locked in.
That's one of the reasons why, if you're looking to retire, go to a financial planner and advisor and tell them your situation. Because what happens is, if you understand the context of what your benefit could be and all those other considerations we listed before, health and longevity, whatever, it will have a significant impact on that. If you're already claiming now, you're fine, and your benefit won't be reduced. So that's the good news.
All right, thank you.
Gwen Moosen looks like she has a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that I heard correctly that if you've reached your full retirement age and you're working, or your spouse is working, there's that 19,000 limit per year doesn't apply, right?
What are you talking about, limit? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So if you've reached full retirement age, you throw that out the window. That doesn't apply anymore. All right. So that only applies if you are claiming a benefit and you haven't reached full retirement age. That's where that earnings test applies. If you're already over the full retirement age, are you over full retirement age?
Yes.
Yeah, then you can throw that out the window. Doesn't apply anymore.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We have a guide that we can send you. This is Medicare, but we have one for Social Security. And what it is, it's a really, we will send it electronically, but it's 4 pages, which will really go into detail and can further educate you on Social Security. So if you'd like to receive that, just let us know. We'd be happy to send it to you via the mail.
Connie, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I did. It seems to me that there's the possibility too of, if you do apply earlier than full retirement age and start getting payments, you could invest that money and probably make more than the 2% per year COLA, or the average 2% per year COLA. So you might still be better off if you apply early and you don't have to use that income in order to live. Then you could use that, you could invest it. And I guess you can't really tell whether you're going to be better off in that case.
You know, Connie, you can tell if you're better off, because what we do is we do scenario planning. So we can show someone how they would come about financially. And it's just looking at scenario 1, doing A, scenario 2, if you did B, and did what you spoke about. And you can see the numbers as to what the difference would be.
Yeah, I mean, Connie, conceptually, yeah, you're right, but you also need to make sure that you're consistently making over that 2%, which, you know, hopefully you can in the market, but you know, we're seeing it today. We've got futures are down 800 points, right? So if you're more comfortable with market volatility, a strategy like that could make sense, but you're giving up a guarantee for something that's not guaranteed, right? So everyone's different. Everyone has different risk tolerances. And if you're comfortable taking that, comfortable with a higher risk tolerance, sure, that could be a strategy, but you know, keep in mind that you're giving up a guarantee there.
Mhm. Right. Okay. Yep.
Great questions. Anyone else? So if I have all their email addresses, I can either forward them on to you folks, or if you want to send me that information, I'm happy to disseminate that out to them as well. But if there are no further
I'd be more than
questions,
happy to, if you want to shoot me over those emails, I can, you know, distribute that. Not
Sure.
a problem.
Great.
Thank you. Well, thank you everybody for attending today. Certainly, you know, reach out to, you know, Dave and I if you have any questions. And certainly I encourage you to take us up on that free consultation should you have any interest.
Thank you both. This was really interesting, and I think it gives me a lot to think about. So I want to thank you all for coming. Stay tuned. We have a number of these workshops coming up, and you'll be hearing about them through email. So very glad you came this morning. Thank you, Chris and Dave.
Thank you. Our
Thank
pleasure.
you all.
Take care.
Have a
Enjoy
good
the snow
snowstorm.
coming.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks.